Welcome back. Former Trump Organization CFO Allen Weisselberg is set to receive his sentence today after pleading guilty to multiple tax fraud charges. The trusted Trump employee was part of what prosecutors call a scheme to help the Trump Organization avoid paying taxes for more than 15 years. Weisselberg personally failed to pay taxes on perks worth $1.7 million, like rent, cars, and private school tuition for his grandchildren.
NBC News legal analyst Danny Cevallos is here with a look at what to expect from today's sentencing. So, Danny, we know Weisselberg pleaded guilty last year, so remind us, how much is that going to impact the sentence? Could the judge say, nah, I'm going to add a few more years to this?
Oh, it makes a huge difference. He was looking at a maximum of 15 years. Now he's probably going to get the 5 months he agreed to in the plea deal. No reason for the judge to deviate from that. And he's going to ultimately get 3 months if he gets 100 days off or so for good time while he's staying at Rikers, which is not a nice place, but a significantly better deal than the original 15 years. And that's why I have to ask, if we take a step back, what have we learned? What have we really gained from this prosecution? I'm somewhat underwhelmed by the Manhattan DA's office here because ultimately Weisselberg, even though he cooperated, took the stand and said, Mr. Trump didn't know about any of this. This was all me being bad, being greedy. You've secured a conviction of companies, but what is that? That's really just a civil case. Can't put a company in prison. The Trump Organization is not going to Rikers. Instead, the government's going to get $1.6 million in fines, but they arguably wasted that in resources prosecuting Weisselberg and prosecuting the Trump Organization. And at the end, when the smoke clears, the main target, at least in the eyes of many, Mr. Trump himself, scot-free.
And so, Danny, you mentioned in the plea agreement, Weisselberg gave a testimony against the Trump Organization. What were some of the things that we learned from that? And did that help lead to a guilty verdict against the company?
Right. He gave evidence against the Trump Organization, but really by giving evidence against himself, by turning to the jury and saying, essentially, I'm a high-ranking official in the Trump Organization, and I deceived the organization to give myself perks and avoid taxes. And that avoidance of taxes also benefited the Trump Organization. In other words, by taking these benefits sort of off the books, the Trump Organization avoided payroll taxes. I keep saying Trump Organization, but it was really two sub-companies, one of which was the Trump Payroll Company. But the bottom line is, by taking the stand and testifying against his own interest, he also helped secure the conviction against the Trump companies because he was a boss, so to speak, a high-ranking person.
So we talk about the civil case with the Trump Organization. We're just days away from the sentence there. You talked about this $1.6 million. I mean, is that what we expect the sentence to be? And how much is this going to impact, if at all, the business moving forward?
Well, what's interesting is, will it really affect the business? $1.6 million? I'd rather think a Trump company can handle that. And by the way, the entire time, Weisselberg has been paid by these companies. He may not remain an official employee, but he's still getting compensated. So as, again, the smoke clears, Weisselberg still making considerable compensation package from the Trump companies. The Trump Organization ends up losing $1.6 million. And Mr. Trump himself was never in court.
All right. Danny Cevallos, thanks so much for breaking it down. We appreciate it.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.